Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we're going to be discussing Groeschel offering a money-back guarantee on tithes. If you tithe for 3 months at Life.Church and don't see God's blessing in your life, you can get your money refunded 100% guaranteed. Again, at Life.Church, take their 3-month tithe challenge. That's what they're offering. And this is taking the prosperity gospel to the next level. Groeschel is the pastor at Life.Church, the second largest megachurch in the United States, according to the current numbers on Wikipedia, which is generally the best source on this particular list. Funny as it may be. So anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. But first, I want you to know, Evangelical Dark Web is a Christian news gathering and commentary ministry. You can support us over at evangelicaldarkweb.org/join. We aren't prosperity gospel, so we're not going to promise God's blessing in your life. We're not going to say that, if you're a Christian, part of that evidence of you being saved is becoming more financially successful and blessed and also wealthy. We're not going to promise these things as a result of salvation or as a result of giving, because we're not prosperity gospel. But you can support us over at evangelicaldarkweb.org. That's our Patreon-like system. But the least you can do, like this video, subscribe to the channel or podcast if you are new. And we also have a free Evangelical Dark Web newsletter that gives you Christian content in your inbox each and every day, bypassing big tech censorship. So I wrote this article over the weekend. You would have gotten ahead of time if you are on the newsletter. And another thing I want to bring up, Groeschel is also the person behind the YouVersion Bible app, the most popular Bible app in the world. And Groeschel is a false teacher. He is prosperity gospel. He is social justice gospel as well. Very woke. And these are just some non-exhaustive reasons as to why he's a false teacher. So we're going to look at their website offers. Again, if you don't get your God's blessing in your life, 100% guaranteed refund. And they cite Malachi 3:10 as their justification for this, which is the only time that God ever says to test him. But we're going to talk about how they're taking this out of context. Test me in this, and they have an abridged version, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much that there will not be room enough to store it. Malachi 3:10, NIV abridged. They take out a little section of that. And the problem with citing this verse is that this is the only time that God ever says to test him, right? God is offering to test himself with if they obey the Levitical law, then God will bless them, which is already a promise in Scripture that God will bless obedience and curse disobedience. So this is already a scriptural promise that the Israelites would have understood. This is another layer to it that God is saying, be obedient to me and I will bless you. This is another way that God is saying that, a more direct confrontational way. But that's what God is saying in Malachi 3:10. Let's take the challenge. It's going to ask you for some personal details. And then afterward, and a tithe date, so they want the start date. And terms and conditions, I understand that this form must be completed and received by Life.Church Giving Experience team prior to the beginning of the 3-month challenge period. I understand that my household qualifies for participation because we have not been tithing for at least 6 months. 3, I understand I cannot seek a refund prior to the end of the tithe 3-month tithe challenge period, and I understand that I cannot seek a refund for any contributions made prior to the beginning of the 3-month tithe challenge period. I understand that any request for refunds must be made or must be received by the Life.Church Giving Experience team within 30 days of the end of the 3-month tithe challenge period. This is very wordy. And then it goes on to some exceptions, people who work for the church that apparently aren't tithing already. And then I guess you got to do this online. And I agree I would like to test God's faithfulness by accepting the 3-month tithe challenge. And I got to pause right there because, you're not supposed to put the Lord your God to the test. That's not what you're supposed to do. Um, and then it finishes by saying, I agree that for the 3-month period, my household will contribute through Life.Church a tithe equal to 10% of our income at the end of the 3-month period. If I am not convinced of God's faithfulness to bless my life as a result of my obedience to his word, then I will be entitled to request a refund of the full amount of contributions made during the 3-month period. So, those are the terms and conditions, and I got to say, you're not supposed to put, the Lord your God to the test. And it's interesting that it doesn't, dribble into the whole tithing on gross or net, which, I actually believe tithing on net is completely biblical because that's what you actually earned because everything else is taken from you. If you ran your own business, you would tithe your profits, not your revenues. Same thing. If you treat your own income as a business. So, with that said, the goal of the program is to get non-tithers to start tithing, as it does not apply to actively tithing congregants. And large megachurches in general have issues about getting members to tithe. Craig Groeschel's solution is to prosperity gospel even harder. And it's a short article, but I do have some more to say about this, specifically along personal lines, because there's a church I used to go to, very much megachurch Christianity, but in a suburb. Your average everyday suburb megachurch, and this type of church has a major issue with getting members to tithe. They have a lot of people going in, but not as many of those people are tithing, or this church has very extravagant expenses that are well beyond what they should be. And I still am on their email list, and I see the emails saying that the tithe monies are down. They are, receiving less revenue than their expenses, or than they're budgeted. So their budget exceeds their actual intake on donations, and they have this continual issue. So I definitely see this in real life, and I gotta say, part of the reason is they lost a lot of faithful members when they went and woke and closed down their church. So these are all contributing factors, but I think that mentality of, members not tithing in megachurch settings, I think that existed before that. So anyway, those are just some thoughts that I wanted to add on a personal note, which is some bonus content for this type of video podcast setting. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that for now. Have a blessed day. We will catch you on the next one.